In the previous class, I ended it with how we were going to go over font properties. Font properties are font size, font family, font style, and font weight. Now let's take a look at the first one, font size. The font size property allows us to change the font size to anything we like. We can make all of our fonts 1 pixel, which you can't even read, it's so small. Or you can do a 200 pixel font, which is super huge. It also supports 2 different types of answers. The first, it supports a pixel answer, or EM or CM. Pixel is what I typically stick with. Second, it supports worded answers like XX small, X small, smaller, small, which are all the small fonts. Then we have medium, we've only got one of those. Large, larger, extra large, and double extra large. Now, to be honest with you, most developers never even use the worded answers. Of all the CSS that I've seen in my years of web development, I might have only seen it once or twice. Pretty much everyone uses pixels or EMs to measure font. We typically measure using pixels or EMs, and that's because it's 100% supported, whereas these worded answers might not be completely supported by every single browser. If we take a look at the property, we have font-size. It accepts inherit, or well, I wrote pixel measurement, but I guess it's just a measurement. Inherit is default, and your px measurement is the exact pixel size. So I'm also going to write in here, you could have 1.5 EM, or you could have 0.3 EM. And we would write our CSS like this. So I just wrote that class F20 is font size 20 pixels. And I usually like to name my classes in a manner in which I will remember them. I typically start a class with F if it's for something font related. So this one is font size 20, so I named it F20. Now if we apply the F20 class to an element, then we're going to get bigger text. And this is a 20 pixel text here. Font family is how we change our actual font. The font family property will try every font that you tell it to until it finds one that it can support. One browser might support a Dracula font style, where another browser might not support it. So we want to give the browser a list of fonts to try until we can come to an agreement. The font family property also supports 2 types of answers. It supports a family name, such as Arial or Times, pretty popular fonts, and it also supports general names, such as cursive, serif, or sans serif. In either case, every option that you list has to be separated with a comma. This is also one of the few properties in CSS that needs to be wrapped in quotations or apostrophes. So we have font-family, and it accepts inherit, which is default, and it accepts a comma-separated list. Comma-separated list looks like this. Arial, comma, space, Helvetica, comma, space, sans serif. It's just a regular list with commas between all the words. Now here's the catch. If a comma-separated list has any font names that have white space is 2 words or more in that name. Just let me show you what I mean here. This would be a white space, and this would be a white space. Then you need to wrap that name in quotes. So here we're making all of our paragraph elements change the font family to Lucida Sans Unicode. If the browser cannot find that, it's then going to look for Lucida Grand. And if it cannot find that, then it's just going to stick with a sans serif font. So we have 2 specific font families. And as our backup, we have just a sans serif font. Now I'd also like to show you that because there is white space, and this is a full name, so again, this is the white space, we need to wrap this in quotes. There's a white space in here, we need to wrap this in quotes. We used a comma to separate the different list options. However, sans serif does not have any quotations around it, and that's because there is no white space. It has a dash, and a dash does not count as white space. Now we have our font style. We went into font style in the last class when we covered making font italic, but let's go over it again real quick. So here we have our font-style, that's the property. It accepts inherit, italic, oblique, and none. Remember that oblique basically is italic. I would just stick with italic. Inherit is default, and none clears the font style completely. Now to go over the inherent value real quick, I know we haven't actually gone over it, we've just talked that it grabs its value from its parent element. To actually show you what I mean, is we have a parent element here, parent being the div and the child being the font element. So the parent element, our div, has a font style of italic, and our child has font style inherit, which is default, so we wouldn't actually have to write this, but I wrote this just to show you what I mean. And then we have our text inside here. So because our font style is inherit, again, which is default, it's going to take the italic from its parent. For example, if one of your parents has green or brown eyes, and you've got green or brown eyes, you got that from one of your parents. Now let's look at font weight again real quick. We have font-weight. It accepts bold, inherit, and normal. Bold will make it bold. Normal removes the other font weight properties and makes your text normal. Now look at this real quick. We have our style.css page. So we've got two classes. We've got bold and normal. For bold, we have a font weight as bold, and normal, we have a font weight as normal. Then we have our HTML inner page. So our paragraph, which has class bold, should bold all of our text, which is all of this. However, we added the normal class as a child element inside the bold parent. Now what this will do is it will display our font as bold, but the part that we wanted to be normal is normal. And there's a trick to this. Your normal class in your CSS has to be below your bold class. Because a span element should naturally be bold, since its parent is bold, we have to give it a class. An ID would work as well. And that class has to have font weight normal. And this told the browser not to bold the elements with the normal class. However, it bolded everything else.